Okay, hello everyone. This is going to be a quick tutorial video on recording MIDI clips with live input using the Novation Launchpad and a MIDI controller. I've got this window over here so you can see what I'm doing with the Launchpad, and this up at the very top here is my chord pad control. The workflow is exactly the same if you're using the SL Mark II in the college. Just happen to be using the chord pad control because that's what I've got to use. Also, if you're using any other USB MIDI device for your input, the workflow is the same. It's what you do with the Launchpad really that's important. Okay, so we've got a MIDI track over here. We know already that if we double click in the empty clip slots, we add in clips. Okay, notice that the Launchpad reflects that as well, so we have these orange lights where the MIDI clips have been added in. If they're playing, incidentally, the light goes green, just as it goes green on the screen there. Okay, so I'll just stop the sequencer for a second. I'm going to delete these MIDI clips again. I'm going to add in a MIDI device onto this MIDI track. Okay, so the MIDI information is going to trigger sounds. Without this MIDI device, the MIDI information will have nothing to trigger, and we won't hear anything at all. So the important thing to know for this workflow is that on the Novation Launchpad we can switch between a number of modes. We're in session mode at the minute, which mirrors what happens or what is present and what is happening with these clip slots within the session. We can go over to mixer mode as well though, and then these lights represent various functions on each track. We've only got one track at the minute, so we've got one row of lights. If I add another track in, we've got two rows of lights. But I'll just get rid of this second track for now. Okay, so this button at the very bottom left is the one that we're interested in. That record arms the track. So notice as I press it that this record arm goes on and off. So the workflow is, if you're in session mode, you nip over to mixer mode, record arm the track. We then go back to session mode. I'm now going to trigger this MIDI clip at the top left. I'll go into my record, warp and launch settings to check that the count in is on 1 bar, meaning that I'm going to get a 1 bar count in before the MIDI clip starts to record. Okay. I'm also going to go to the edit menu and go to record quantization and set it to 16th note quantization. That's going to quantize the MIDI information as I play it in and make it better in terms of timing. Okay, so here goes. I'm going to press record on the MIDI clip, I'm going to play my MIDI notes in, and I'm also going to stop by pressing the same button, at which point Live will begin to loop the clip. Okay, so notice that I played 2 bars worth of kick and snare, and because I pressed the MIDI clip button again between 2 and 3, it began to loop at the correct point. If I press it too late, i.e. after the 3, watch what happens. So it always waits till the end of the next bar before it starts to loop again, alright? And that's because of our quantization being on 1 bar. You don't need to worry about that at the minute, just leave it on 1 bar for now, but know that if you trigger the stop after triggering the record, so it's the same button for record and stop, if you trigger that in between the 2 and the 3, for example, it's going to loop from here, okay, like so. Okay, but if you do it after the 3, it's going to do this. Okay, so the specific numbers aren't important in this case, guys. What is important is that you know that you need to trigger the stop of the record before the end of the very last bar that you're playing in. Otherwise you're going to get a bar of dead space at the end. That's pretty much all you need to know now for live input using the Novation Launchpad. There's more videos on the way.